Have you been thinking about moving to Florida? Well, I'm Nicholas, and I'm going to tell you 5 reasons that you should never move to Florida. Here they are. Number one, Florida is pretty extreme on its weather. So if you come from a drier or northern state, you're likely going to have, a couple of months out of the year, maybe even longer, where it's really nice and it's very dry, and there's some uncomfortability with the area that you're living in, but it's typically pretty tolerable. So in Florida, especially if you're moving to South Florida, say Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or even lower than that into the Keys, you're going to be experiencing some really hot weather. I would say pretty much since March until September, it's going to be like walking through a foggy sheet that's 98 degrees. You can feel the air moving around you. Out here I have what I call the 9 a.m. rule, which basically means if you need to do anything outside, whether it's running, mowing your grass, clipping your lawn, something like that, you need to get it done before 9 a.m. because as soon as that sun comes out and really gets high, it's going to be hot. It's not really pleasant. That being said, you're going to be in t-shirts for pretty much 90% of the year, if not the entire year, especially moving to down South Florida. If you're in some of the northern bits of Florida, like Gainesville or Tampa or Orlando, you will get some cool weather towards the winter. Usually it kicks in about the end of November, and then it'll last till about February. So I'm here in St. Petersburg, it's March, and it's the middle of March, and we had a really cool morning. It was actually 60 degrees this morning, which is highly unusual for this time of year, but that's, an abnormality. After this, it's going to get freaking hot, and that's tough. The second reason is going to be the hurricanes. So kind of pivoting off the first reason, it's an extreme weather state, so we will have hurricanes every now and again. They are extreme. They're intense. If you have anything above a category 3, you're going to want to pretty much get out of the way of that bad boy. There are some people that are never leaving, even if a category 5 or above hits them, and I'm not one of those people. I'm hightailing it out of here to get away from this weather. So just know that at any point in the year, mostly we see them come up in August through October, but it can be as early as July and as late as November for some hurricanes. And you're going to have about a week that you might have to evacuate, and that kind of stinks. And then you might have to watch on TV, your neighborhood, your house, your town getting destroyed, and that really stinks. So keep that in mind when you're looking at Florida. It is quite a bit. The other reason is the high cost of living. So if you're coming from a state that's already pretty expensive, I know a lot of people that are coming out from California, and shout out to New York, you have high cost of living. Even Chicago with the property taxes are pretty high. But if you're moving from a state like Mississippi, even from me, moving from Georgia down to Florida was really challenging. It was expensive. I remember I lived in an apartment and I was shocked at the rent because I was like, wow, this is a lot of money for such a small place. But at the time I justified it, and I was like, it's inner city living. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a little bit more if you're coming from an area that is slightly, and my phone wants to show me the light of battery. Thank you, phone. Hopefully that didn't cut. Anyway, but it's going to be a lot more. You're going to have sticker shock if you're moving from a state that has relatively affordable housing. However, again, if you're moving from if you're moving from California or you're moving from New York or any other high-cost state, it's pretty reasonable. You can get yourself quite a bit of property for the amount that you'd be paying on those states. The third reason out here is traffic congestion. So I don't really find this to be a problem. I came from Atlanta, and Atlanta is, always congested. There is no uncongesting, even at 10 p.m. at night. But if you're coming from a smaller, area or smaller town that doesn't have a lot of population, be prepared for that culture shock. There's going to be a lot of traffic, especially if you're moving to areas like Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, that whole area. That Interstate 95 is pretty much always under construction. And if you're moving into Tampa, same deal. You're going to have construction on 75 and sometimes 275. I know right now they're redoing parts of the bridge in St. Pete and Tampa. But it's going to be busy. There's going to be a lot of people, and it's going to be really difficult to get around. That being said, a lot of these cities are built with a high density, so it is easier to get what you need or get to where you want to go without spending a ton of time in the car. The fourth reason is the tourists. So I'm not one to complain about this, mainly because this is our backbone of our state, is tourism. We've certainly branched out from there. However, tourism is, when it's in season. Like out here in St. Petersburg, there's almost no point to going to the beaches when it's spring break or when it's snowboard season, and that usually goes from the end of Thanksgiving to the end of Easter, and that's typically our snowbird season out here. But it will get significantly more dense with tourists, and you're living in tourist towns, so just expect that, especially if you're looking at a place like Orlando. There's a lot of tourists that go there. Disney World, shout out. But other than that, there's crazy drivers, there's people that don't know where they're going. It's kind of a tourist lifestyle out here, but I am thankful that that is the backbone of our economy and that it's doing really well. The fifth reason that you may not be really interested in St. Petersburg, or not St. Petersburg, in Florida overall is, I know this one. Yeah, so wildlife and the Florida wildlife in general. So if you're not familiar with Florida, we are home to a lot of reptiles, alligators, snakes, etc. A lot of creepy crawlies, especially what I wasn't expecting when I got out here was the bug population right now in March and towards the summer. It is extremely buggy, but mainly what you want to be concerned about is the alligators, the snakes, mainly the alligators, because that's what a lot of people talk about. A good general rule of thumb for being out here in Florida is if you have a glass that is full of water, you can take a look at it, and any body of water that is larger than that cup, suspect alligators to be in it. I kid you not. I mean, I've seen alligators in small swimming pools. I've seen alligators in kiddie pools, smaller ones, of course, but there is likely going to be a gator, especially if you're in Central Florida and towards Alligator Alley. There's going to be an alligator there. That is a danger. It's important not to be really careless. Know that nature is there, and nature can be scary occasionally. When I came down here, I came from Georgia, and when we were up in Georgia, the copperhead rattlesnake was pretty common out there, and that kind of led me to be a little bit careful about places you don't know, and take that same concern when it comes to living in Florida, especially if you're living in a rural area. It is much more likely that you're going to run into and bump into a reptile like an alligator. Other little points that I've learned about alligators is nothing stops them. So if you think you have a fence, chain link fence, vinyl fence, they don't care. They literally do not care. They will run right through your fence. In fact, I've seen a video of them climbing over a fence. If you see a storm drain, you think, no, there's no way an alligator comes out of there. Yes, there is an alligator going to hang out in your storm drain. I've seen them come up out of it when it floods a little bit, and then they'll go back into their nice little cozy home. I've seen videos of people in the servicing those storm drains, get in there, wonder why there's a blockage, and it's because there's a big fat alligator just chilling inside some of those pipes. So keep in mind that there is, Florida is a wild state, and there's going to be some wildlife encounters. Anyway, that's pretty much all I had for you guys today. If you are looking to buy or sell in Florida, feel free to look in my description below and fill out some of my questionnaires. If you're looking to buy or sell anywhere and you need a good realtor, I have a network of over 250 realtors. Chances are pretty good I know someone that's going to be in your town or in your state or anywhere else. Have a good one.